when you approach a script as an actor, I mean, what's your process like there? What do you do to explore that?
Well, first off, I read everything, and then I hone in on my character, what my lines are, and I try and focus in on that. But I try and get as much story around the story, because as you know, sometimes when you get a script, you don't get the whole script.
Sure.
You might get the first 2 or 3 pages ahead of you, or 2 or 3 pages behind you. So I try to do as much investigating on that. I try to do some research on the web if I can. I don't get cast very far from type. No one's going to look at me for a deep, dark, cerebral, person. I get cast pretty much to type. So I don't have to do a whole lot of emotional deep digging for most of the stuff I get cast for. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I have to be a little bit dark, which is intriguing to me. I like that because we all have the dark side.
Theater or film acting, which is or what do you like best?
I've made my career film acting. I've had theater experience as well, but John and I made a very conscious choice early on in our marriage, because we knew we wanted to have a family, that I would be the one working during the day and he would be the one working during the evening. So he has continued a 35-year career in the theater, also does some film, but he's always been very active in theater.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, he's ending Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera in Las Vegas after 6, count 'em, years.
6 years, wow.
Yeah, it's been a great run.
That is a great run.
Yeah.
When you get on set and you work with a director, what do you expect from that director, or what do you see or like to see from a good director?
Yeah. I believe that on a set, it is all trickle down from the director. If the director isn't in charge, the set is not in charge. So I always feel confident when the director is strong and confident and available. He will talk to the lower echelon people there. He'll talk to the extras. He's available. They kind of are the father of the whole operation. So if they are in control, or if there's a lot of yelling on the set, I never interpret that as a good sign. So I actually look to him as a leader, and I think directors, the good ones that I've worked with, give you a small idea and they give you a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And it's thrilling to work with someone like that.
Yeah, and you talked about being hired for your type a lot.
Right.
Talk about that's importance to an actor, especially actors who aren't well known yet.
You bet. Yeah, I think for me, the earlier I clicked in on what my type was, I started in Chicago many, many years ago, and I was with an agency, and I would be at the elevators, and there would be these tall, willowy blondes in floor-length fur coats, and we just came out of the same door, and I thought, wow, when do I get to grow up to be like her? Well, it didn't take me too long to figure out it's probably not going to happen. So when I really got a handle on being a short, comedic brunette, I realized I could do things they couldn't do, Yeah. And so that it all sort of balanced out. So the sooner I got a handle on my type, and I do get cast for similar things, but it just makes life, you can focus more on your career. You're not going after stuff that you're never going to get or never be considered for.
And I think that's key to early in your career, is to get specific, to get noticed as that police officer or fireman or mom or teacher or whatever it is.
Look at what you do well, and sharpen that up.
Yeah, I mean, that's very important, and some young actors don't get that, and then they struggle, and they just don't.
They end up just wanting all the time,
And be proactive, I've been talking to other people about this, other actors, but you got to understand, acting is a business first.
You bet.
And unless you're just doing it for fun,
Well, then it's a hobby.
Yeah, then it's a hobby.
Yeah.
But if you're a professional actor, you're doing it as a business. And what would be one of the business tips you would throw out to an actor just to help them?
Well, because it's creative and fun, doesn't mean you shouldn't get paid for it. There's no shame in making money at this.
Sure.
So a young actor, and I think about that all the time because I have a daughter in New York, I would say hang out with like-minded people. Don't listen to the complaining acts. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
People who are always bitching about the business. Stay positive. Do something for your career every day. Just stay active. Nobody is going to take as much of an interest in your career as you are.
Yes.
If people don't like what you're doing, then do it better. I believe very strongly that improvisation is the foundation of all performance. If you can get going on your improv skills, you are going to be so much more comfortable at every audition. Whether you use them or not, you're going to have that in your toolbox.
Yeah, and I've found that to be the case in my career, that it didn't take off until I took an improv class. Yeah. Talk a little bit about your training. You're from Chicago, right. Second City. Did you do anything there?
I didn't work on Second City stage. I did study with Paul Sills, who was one of the founders of Second City.
Okay.
When I called to make my appointment to study, I went in to meet him, and I said, well, I work in television, and well, that's okay. I guess that won't hurt you. He had very little respect for TV, but I really wanted to study with him, and so I did. And then years later, not recently, he has a camp up in Door County, Wisconsin, which is gorgeous, and it's 2 weeks of intensive improving with people from all over the world. Yeah. And it's, again, terrifying and thrilling. That's why I'm drawn to it.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
So yeah, improv, it's just...
It forces you to listen. How important is that as an actor?
That is an actor's job, because if you notice when you go to the movies or if you watch a soap opera, that many times the camera is focused on the person who's listening. And so that's where the story unfolds, because the camera sees thoughts. So if you're thinking, oh, yippee, it's Christmas, the camera will see that. But if it's, I don't know, where are the kids? The camera will also see that. So I think listening actively is very important.
Well, Brenna, I would like to thank you for joining me today here at Studio Bo. Again, hit the website, your website, and the name of your book, please. Yeah,
it's oncameratraining.com. That's the name of my studio, On Camera Training. And we are in suburban Washington, D.C. And my book, or our book, my husband's not here, so I'll take full credit, is You Can Work on Camera. You can get it on Amazon, and Heinemann is the publisher.
All right, well, thanks a lot for coming out. This was great, and I hope to see you again soon.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Brenna. Join us next time when our guest will be Michael Gable.